and welcome to Bud Mash. Today we're talking about Blizzard. I finished the book Play Nice, which was a really good book. If you want a good behind the scenes book that shows what the formula of Blizzard and stuff, it's really fascinating. But I thought hey, you know, this episode is gonna be about stuff that Blizzard has done well. Because I think, yes, this doesn't negate the sort of bad stuff that happened within Blizzard, but I think there was a reason why it led the industry, and sort of that's where I want to talk about, and that's the sort of where I want to take it, that I think future companies should take this advice from or glean what Blizzard has done well in order to sell copies of their games. So this good customer base, because I think a lot of the game companies are just hanging by a thread, and this is sort of my hey. This is my advice from what I've seen from the Blizzard book. And first off is long term thinking. I think Mike Morheim was definitely a business person. A lot of times, I feel like he wasn't the sort of MBA type who was profits ever growing, short term decision making. I feel like a lot of his decisions based on Blizzard's health in the future, not just the present, especially when it came to things like microtransactions and stuff. Because at the end of the day, and this is just more in general, not just Blizzard in general now, something I think a lot of companies are doing is making really short term decisions that will screw them in the end. Most companies chasing the streaming bubble, you know, everyone trying to put their stuff on streaming because they think that they can have the next big streaming service. But the problem is one, I don't think everyone's going to pay, let's just say around 200,000 a month or 100 just for streaming. That was the whole point of cord cutting, was because streaming was cheaper than cable. And then there's also with the game industry is that everyone's trying to make a live service game, which is its own trend because many companies hop on that bandwagon because they see the amount of bucks Fortnite makes, and all it has to do is just pump out, let's just say, one battle pass, and that's it. Fortnite gets all these collaborations. Who doesn't want that? But the problem is, I think Fortnite, first off, is an anomaly. And secondly, every person has a live service game that they're sort of already invested in. The markets aren't set in those ways. And literally, Sony ruined their brand by, well, not completely, but by chasing live service games. Because essentially, there are no games for the PS5 that actually, make it worth to be like, hey, I'm gonna buy a Sony PS5. I mean, there's nothing there, no games there because they kept, you know, trying to get that live service hype going for them. Concord and now Marathon, and that's a whole hot mess express itself. Also had Horizon Zero Dawn live service game plan, which they scrapped that. So games are also trying to mimic Fortnite. Like The Sims has sort of this colorful background like Fortnite. Players in the Sims community said that sort of the menu is reminiscent of Fortnite. I mean, I'll be honest, it's better than a god awful plain background, but I'm in the minority. Is not thinking long term, just short term. I think definitely you gotta consider both. And I think Morheim really considered the long term, especially with the Blizzard brand, because a lot of times they joke they would love to sell rocks in a box and be able to sell at premium price. Is commitment to quality. Now, this is something I've seen with a lot of AAA games and stuff, is there's no standard. I mean, yes, from what I understood, Blizzard had maybe a perfectionist mindset, and the issue with perfection is it's hard to chase. Let's be real. I think one of the characters from GTA 5, it's in the missions, one of the car collection missions stated perfectly that perfection is a cruel mistress. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't chase near perfection, and I think that's what Blizzard tried to do. And I think a lot of the games had sort of that certification where you knew you were getting good quality. The OG Blizzard, should I say. And I think a lot of companies sort of let that quality dip when it came to sort of their product because they took for granted the customers that were buying. Like you got day one patches now for bugs that should have been fixed on release. And some companies do it so low, like EA, that they give two shits. Quality assurance, who's she? We'll just release that pack all buggy and shit. And people still buy it. Let's go. Add to it, they have season pass and like little extra stuff that should be in the game first place. Like, oh yeah, here's extra classes that that you pay for in a special edition, and that's like so part of the quality because those stuff should be a game and not chopped off and sold, separately. Like I don't know if you remember the Yakuza Like a Dragon, but they had like two special classes that you had to buy with the Legendary Edition. It's like, really, Linda? Really? We're gonna go down that route? Like those should be in the game in the first place. Here's the final one, which I think is one of the most important is the people in the company are staffed with gamers. The old leader, Mike Morheim, was a gamer. This is very important, especially when it comes to decision making, because you got people in a company who are essentially passionate about video games, and especially when it comes to like a hobbyist industry like video games, you definitely need people who have the passion to sort of pull the project off. And plus, if you're a passionate gamer, it's easy to get in mind of your customers and know what they want. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a gamer too. Do I want battle passes? No. Do I want broken shit? No. Even like part of the, and this was from the book, part of the interview process was them quizzing people about like, current geek culture and gaming culture to figure out, if, and this was before Blizzard got bigger, if they would be good fit games and stuff. And even when they sort of expanded, they still had people that weren't gamers, but they understood their vision. And I think that's the end of the day is you need someone who understands the vision in a way, that the company does. And I think a lot of the current issues in the industry that stem is non-gamers people want to bend the gaming industry to their will with the disregard to what the gamers want. That's from the cracktivists all the way to the shareholders. Because I don't think any of these people actually play the video games. And that's been proven with Crime Boss Arcade City. You got people fouling all over the game for banning Krisha, but not that many people bought it. And it's like, really? You destroyed your company for people who don't buy the games. Okay, all I'm gonna say is that's fucking common logic. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, but common logic is not that common. What I learned. And it stems also, you can see this sort of trend where people calling gamers chuds. They want the toxic gamers out of the industry. There's even a event to take the fash out of the industry, which I should report that, but I'll get to it. This just popped into my mind right now. But it's just like you, and also your community managers just banning people, calling people all different names, istophobes, this, that, because they don't agree with their political views when politics had nothing to do with gaming, especially your real world views. It shouldn't be, especially when your customers are like have so many different points of views. I'll be honest, it's simply idiotic to think that your customers are only within one view set because we're human and we're very complex creatures. That's just the end of the day. So it's just like within this combative nature too with the industry. like I said before, you got community managers attacking players. You got these outlets attacking players. I'm surprised Kotaku's still alive. They literally made a deal with Satan at this point. They went out of the ways to attack customers. Game Awards literally went out of their freaking way to attack gamers, and it's just like you. I think, especially if you're a passionate gamer, you're not going to go out of the way to attack the hobby you love. Secondly, it's just like I said, it's common logic. I think most people would, if they had 2 cents to rub together, they would understand this. Like I said, that's why number three is them hiring gamers and having decisions made by gamers. While some of them are not the best, especially with Timefall, I think it worked out better because you got people passionate, know your customers, and will not be so adversarial to your consumer base. Like, how is that working out? Go ask Ubisoft. They're being bought out by Tencent, and I think Tencent is trying to wiggle their way to buy the Assassin's Creed back. Same with Rocksteady. Same with Crime Boss City. I think there's like a whole list of people who decide, hey, I'm going to be adversarial with my customers. And that led them nowhere. So, yeah, games who are made by passionate people who, aren't adversarial with the community sort of counter this and give sort of, a good point to what I'm saying. Clair Obscur. It was made by a passionate gamer, group of gamers. It has sold well. Stardew Valley, a passion project by one person. Smash Hit that's still played today and has a whole modding fan base. Toro, which is well sold an indie game. And Baldur's Gate 3, for its many flaws, it was a passion project made by the devs, and you could tell that they loved the product and they wanted to do well. Other than the bear sex, but Cuphead was also you can feel the passion in it, and I think fall and listen to the fans in the game and got great reviews in the new update. I mean, this isn't rocket science, but what do you guys think? I think this is what Blizzard done well. And anyways, happy gaming. Thank you for listening. Stay healthy, stay hydrated. Bye.